Check. Checking. Hot mic, baby. What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 37 of the show. Fact check. It's fact check o'clock, dude. I am fact checking myself because your boy made a mistake. Your boy made a blunder. It's a Brent blunder. Guys, I want to get this out of the way quick up top so that anybody who watches this will just know what I'm about to say. So on the Gavin Newsom impression video that I just did, the impression that I do of our overlord Gavin Newsom out here in California, the opening line of the most recent video is where I'm playing Gavin and I'm looking at some facts and I say, oh wow, 99.98% survival rate. Now, that stat I got crunching a bunch of numbers on the CDC website, and it was for people 65 and under. But I did the math wrong. I checked myself, and I did the math wrong, dude. Your boy fact-checked himself, and I'm here to make amends, okay? Because we live in an age of misinformation and fake news, and I don't want to add to that, even if it's a little bit. So what I said in the video was 99.98%. The actual percentage for people 65 and under in the U.S. is 99.7. I'm going to break it down for you real quick because I really want to clear this up. It's a very small mistake to have made, but I don't feel like people get enough real data and we just get told what to do. And I think if we had more real data, we would still be cautious and safe and respectful, but we wouldn't be as scared anymore. So here's where I'm getting 99.7. Here it is. Okay. 12 million people in the United States, according to the CDC, have tested positive for young COVID. Also, according to the CDC, in the United States, 231,197 people have died, and their death has involved COVID-19. That's a quote. That's from the CDC website as of Saturday, November 21st, 2020. Also, disclaimer, dude. 2 disclaimers back to back. Ready? 1, your boy's not a fucking scientist, okay? So look into stuff. I am not here. My role in life is not to share information. Right now, I feel called to share some information because I've been really frustrated with the amount of information that we're given about everything that's happening right now. So I'm looking into it myself. I'm sharing what I find and my opinions on it. You guys should make your own opinions and do your own research to find stuff. Not a scientist, all right? Also, disclaimer number 2 is it's really hard to sound like you have empathy for people that have struggled with the disease or been affected by it in any way. And I have close friends who have had family members that have died from pneumonia that was caused or complicated by COVID-19 or other things like that, and people that have been severely affected. I know a couple of those people, and I fully empathize with anybody affected by it. And it's just hard to get that across. It probably doesn't even sound real now because this is like a podcast, and I just drank a coffee and I'm feeling like high energy and shit. But that's real. It's real. What I'm saying is real. Okay. Let me do these numbers real quick because I just did it for myself and I fact checked myself and I was wrong. So 12 million people, according to the CDC, have tested positive for COVID. 231,197 people, according to the CDC in the United States, have died. That 12 million number is also from the United States. Now you look at the people under the age of 65. And I'll put this link in the comments so you can do the math on your own. 47,873 people under the age of 65 in the United States have died from COVID. You divide that number by the 12 million people who have tested positive, and you find that of the 12 million people in the United States that tested positive, 0.3% have died of COVID. If you are under 65 years old in the United States and you test positive for COVID, you have a 0.3% chance of dying. That's a fact according to the numbers on the CDC website. Look this up, check for yourself. 47,873 people under the age of 65 have died in America from complications involving COVID-19. 12 million people in America have tested positive for COVID-19, which means that 0.3% of people under the age of 65 who test positive will die. And then you can take that further and you can use the information also given by the CDC, where they said 94% of deaths have an average of more than 2 comorbidities and or pre-existing conditions. So 94%. So now we have 0.3% of people in the U.S. under 65 have died of COVID. Can you put, my question for somebody in the science or health or math world is, can we use that 94% statistic and multiply it by this 0.3? So let's do that. So if we go 0.3, so we have 94% of 0.3 is 0.282. Now I'm getting a little lost on the numbers. All right, look, here's the deal. You get so drowned in these numbers, dude. Do the research on your own. My main goal with this opening thing was to say I messed up in that calculation. I said 99.98% of people survive. It's not. It's 99.7%. And we're talking about people under the age of 65. Okay? Now, when you also factor in that 94% of that 0.3% under 65 had comorbidities, you find even less of a chance that you're going to die if you're under 65 and you're healthy. So the frustration comes when we're having curfews and extreme regulations, and we're not talking about health, keeping people healthy. It just seems like the message. Dude, I'm so fucking frustrated, dude, because the messaging just seems so off. I'm not on board the whole "this is just the flu" idea. It's clearly not. It's already killed more people than the flu. Even when you factor in flu deaths of people who have comorbidities or pre-existing conditions, there are still less than the people who die of COVID with pre-existing conditions. There's just more people dying from COVID than there is from the flu. Now, there could be an argument where if you're under 65 and healthy, is COVID going to affect you the same way the flu does? You know, if you get the flu like once a year, you're not social distancing and wearing masks outside because you don't want to get the flu during winter. So I fully understand that it's worse than the flu, especially for a small demographic of very vulnerable people. So my question for the Gav man is, why aren't we putting attention and resources and messaging into helping those people, the vulnerable people? All right? Why aren't we specifying our messaging and regulations to help protect people that are most vulnerable? What we're doing right now, in my opinion, is we're throwing a massive blanket over everybody and hoping that works. And it's pissing people off. It's ruining businesses. It's ruining independent contractor careers. It's also like totally tearing people apart. The national guidance wasn't great from the beginning, so you could call out the Trump campaign for not the only thing that he ever said he did was he stopped flights from China, but that's after like 40 other countries had already done that. That's literally, if you watch his speeches, that's the only thing he says he did. And then they tried to get testing up and da-da-da-da-da. But, dude, that shit is just ridiculous. It also shouldn't be treated like a zombie virus that's going to kill you within 2 days, because it's not, dude. 99.7, bro. If you're under 65, 99.7 survival rate, not 99.8. That was a goof. That was a Brent goof. Ha! So it's like, I'm not a politician, dude. I don't fucking know. Being a politician seems like an impossible job, especially right now. So I would have faith that most people are doing what they think is best. And, you know, there's the community out there that thinks, no, that politicians don't give a shit about you and they just care about themselves. And yeah, maybe to an extent, maybe, but I have more faith in people than that. Maybe that's naivety. I don't know. Maybe I'll learn. But it's like, if we know all these things, right? We know that 94% of people have pre-existing conditions, and a majority, I don't want to say a majority, but a lot of those conditions could be either rectified or helped by healthy living habits. So I'm talking about diabetes, I'm talking about hypertension, I'm talking about obesity. Those types of things can be helped by a healthy diet. So it's like, yeah, we have a pandemic for COVID. We also have a pandemic for being an unhealthy-ass country in the United States. It's ridiculous, dude. There's another study. There's another study here. That's the other thing that nobody's talking about is the role of vitamins and minerals and healthy lifestyle habits that could increase your chances not only of survival but of just not even showing major symptoms. So there's a study here from the U.S. National Library of Medicine and the National Institutes of Health on the immune-boosting role of vitamins D, C, E, zinc, selenium, and omega-3 fatty acids. Undoubtedly, nutrition is a key determinant of maintaining good health. Key dietary components such as vitamin C, D, E, zinc, selenium, and omega-3 fatty acids have well-established immunomodulatory effects with benefits in infectious disease. Some of these nutrients have been shown to play a role in the management of COVID-19. What the fuck, dude? How do I find this as a dipshit floating around online making Brent goofs, and this isn't front page news telling people vitamin D, C, zinc, omegas, work out your lungs? That's where the frustration is, dude. Do you feel that shit? That's the frustration. Okay? I don't give a shit about, I'll wear a mask in Whole Foods until everybody who wants a vaccine gets a vaccine. I don't care about that. But just the messaging of let's have a curfew. Let's make sure people don't hang out past 10 p.m. Also, who the fuck is partying past 10 p.m. right now? Ain't nobody partying. Nobody's having parties past 10 p.m. Bars and restaurants already have a limited capacity or they're shut down. And also, with all the information available, and this isn't a fucking zombie virus that's killing everybody. It's killing a very small, remarkably small amount of people. Why are we not just allowing people to make their own decisions? So an example would be, I know I never see elderly people. I'm never around them. I also know that my friend group that I shoot with, I make videos with, I know them very, very well, and none of them have pre-existing conditions that would cause trouble with COVID. And so you might say, oh, but they can still get sick. Hey, dude, we just went through the numbers that 99.7% of people under 65 survive. And of the 0.3% that die, 94% of those people have pre-existing conditions. So you're talking about, what is 94% of 0.3%? I want that fact. What is 94%? What is that? 0.94 times 0.3 is 0.282. So 100% minus 0.282. So 1 minus 0.282 equals. Wait, what the fuck? God damn it. Sorry, I don't mean to take the Lord's name in vain. So it's like we have all the information to allow people to make choices for themselves. So then a counter argument to that could be, well, what if you're around really elderly people or people with pre-existing conditions at the store? Well, boom, right there is where messaging should be shared, telling people in those vulnerable groups to have extreme caution. Go to the store at your own risk. If you know you're in a vulnerable group, then don't do things to put yourself in harm's way. Okay? And then an argument to that, because I'm fighting with myself here, is, well, then aren't we just are we oppressing people that have asthma or diabetes or are obese or are elderly? Are we unfairly separating them from society? Dude, you could see it like that, or you could see it as, no, we're protecting them while we work on a vaccine, and we are also giving them the tools and the resources and the information on how to keep their immune system and body healthy just in case they come into contact with the virus, while also putting tons of effort into messaging and attention and resources into letting the vast majority of people know who are healthy, let them know that they should limit their direct contact with anybody that has pre-existing conditions or is elderly. And if they come into contact with those people, just know that you're putting them at a slightly higher risk. But it's so slight. And so then you say, oh, well, what about if if a young healthy person is caring for a sick person and they go to the store, you shouldn't be allowed to just be go around unmasked. Well, dude, we've been wearing masks since March because we've just been assuming that everyone is asymptomatic. So keep doing that. Reopen everything. It's not a free-for-all. I'm not talking about just let's go have a fucking orgy, okay? But let me play basketball outside. Let me go to a comedy club. We can have 50 people at a patio restaurant, but we can have 100 people in a Whole Foods, but we can't have 50 people in a comedy club that seats 100. You should have seen the Whole Foods that I was at here in LA the other day. Bumper to bumper. No regulations, shoulder to shoulder. And I don't care because I'm comfortable with my immune system and I feel very, very healthy. And the day I get extremely sick from COVID is the day I'll say, you know what? I got the bad one. It got me. I knew the risks. I lived my life and I got super fucking sick. The day that happens, I will accept it based on the choices that I made. But this Whole Foods example that I made in the video too is like, dude, Whole Foods was packed, shoulder to shoulder, no distancing, but everybody was wearing masks. And so how are we doing that? But we can't do a comedy show for 50 people, and I can't play basketball with 3 of my friends that are young and healthy as shit. And give them the information to know that if those friends that I'm playing basketball with go to see their grandparents, and they were just hanging out with me, maybe I was asymptomatic, maybe I gave it to them, now they're asymptomatic, and maybe they're going to give it to their grandparents. So let them make the decision on whether or not to go see their grandparents, and let their grandparents make the decision on whether or not they should come over. But a curfew, dude? What the fuck, man? You're allowed to have opinions like this and not be a racist Trump supporter. You know what I mean? Like, as soon as you share an opinion and you don't blindly follow regulations, all of a sudden you just want more people to die. And that is so stupid, dude. I'm ranting, dude. This is a COVID rant today, dude. I don't care. This is therapeutic for me, man. I hope it's helping you guys. Fact check me. I know a lot of people out there. Also, the mask argument is a big one too. But it's like, dude, here's my take on the mask thing. We're living in the age of conflicting information, right? And when you talk about, I want to put the argument that masks are a control tactic being used to muzzle people, like that conspiracy. I understand it. I even have some respect for it. I want to put it to the side though, because I don't identify with that. I just want to talk about the science of the masks. The New York Times had this awesome infographic about the scientific uses of a mask. It was really cool. Just Google New York Times masks work really. And it'll take you through this awesome thing where they break down the science of it and they break down the molecules and the different types of masks and everything. And so if you're being required to wear a mask inside the grocery store, like that's a place of business. And it's also a communal place where maybe people have to go in order to survive. So maybe you're in a vulnerable age group, or you're in a vulnerable demographic of people, but you still have to go to the store because maybe you can't afford the delivery fees that are extra, or you don't have anybody that you can rely on, Which is another thing, dude. Like, that's where the fucking regulations come in, is put aside some money to make sure that if you're in a vulnerable age group, you don't have to go to the store. You know what I mean? Give them free Amazon Prime grocery delivery for like 4 times a week. Just give it to them for free. They just have to pay for the groceries. Things like that is that's where I see leadership like tripping over themselves. We've had this information since March now, April, May, whatever, when we got all this data. That still remains true with the percentages and shit. So, but now we're giving curfews to everybody instead of providing ways to keep the vulnerable people safe. It makes no sense. It makes no sense. So anyways, the mask thing is like, the day that they require masks everywhere, no matter what, and there's no end in sight, that's the day maybe I'll go to a rally. You know what I mean? Because do things based on data. The grocery store thing, I put a mask on. I walk in the grocery store. I walk out. I get to my car. I take it off. It's done. That's it. That's it. And the argument for like breathing in your own toxic air, your own breath or whatever, you're in there for a couple minutes. And I've yet to read a study that shows a couple minutes once a day is going to cause any damage or make you sicker. We also haven't seen any cases of that happening. And it's been 8 months you've been required to wear a mask in most places. But yeah, I don't find any scientific merit to wearing a mask while you're running by yourself. Because it's always been, if you can't social distance, wear a mask. If you can social distance, then social distance. And so we're still having social distance gatherings. Friends are still meeting up with friends and staying 6 feet apart in their front yards. But we're being told now to wear a mask outdoors instead of socially distancing. Like, what is that? That doesn't make any sense either. I'm going to work out on the beach by myself. I'm 100 feet away from anybody. I'm not going to wear a mask. Also, because when I run, personally, it's just for me. I breathe into it. It gets all wet. It gets stuck in my mouth. I get claustrophobic. I start freaking out. I have a panic attack. I hide in a gutter for a week. I don't make any videos. I don't make any income. All of a sudden, I'm homeless in Mexico, selling my body on the street corner for a taquito. And it's not a life that I want to live. So that's my thing for the mask thing. I think there's for sure a limit to masks. It's also absurd that we call out Trump rallies as super spreaders, but Biden celebrations as not super spreaders. And I'm not even like a Trump supporter. If you are, I don't hate you. Okay, I got respect for everybody to make their own decisions based on their own lives. But it's like, how do we do those two things? The cognitive dissonance there is absolutely insane. So that's my thing on masks. I don't know where that was going, bro. This is a full rant, dude. The freedom argument. People write that off, man. People really, like, as soon as you hear somebody say, it's my freedom, it's my right, I should be able to choose whether or not to wear a mask or see my family. And people write that off as, oh, you don't give a shit about people dying. But the people who say that obviously don't give a shit about the numbers and the specific demographics. All they care about is their feelings and virtue signaling. Like this curfew, I'll get back to the freedom thing in a minute. I had a conversation with my buddy about the curfew, and he was like, well, yeah, I mean, I don't hate it. It's a symbolic measure. And I was like, yeah, dude, that's the problem. It's symbolic. It's not fact-based. It's a symbol. It's a symbol. The curfew is a symbol. It's a symbol that the Gav man ain't got no idea what to do. Ha! You can't just do symbols. That's virtue signaling. That's bullshit. Okay? That's stupid. It's not taking any steps. It's not putting in any effort to help the people that are being severely impacted by the virus. And there's so many people that are on, like the singer Jeremiah, 33 years old. He was on a ventilator or something recently. Apparently just got moved out of the ICU or back into the ICU or whatever the next step down towards safety is from the ventilator or from additional oxygen. Jeremiah's 33. He's young and he's healthy. I couldn't find anything about pre-existing conditions for him. And he went to the ICU. I don't know what his immune system's like. I don't know if maybe he does cocaine 4 times a week. I have no idea. Maybe he's healthy as a horse, dude. Maybe he's a super healthy dude. But it looks like he got wrecked from it. It's very possible to get super fucking sick and put on a ventilator and be fighting for your life as a young person with COVID. It's so insanely rare, though, that the regulations don't support the data, in my opinion. And the freedom of choice thing, people who brush off the freedom of choice thing, I think that's wrong. I think you need to have that conversation to understand where people are coming from when they say, no, it's my right as an American. This is freedom. I should have the freedom to choose what to do. You should. And there are extremes on both of those sides, because the people who say, I have a right to freedom, you do, but you don't have a right to put other people's lives in jeopardy. Like, just as an example, just a quick follow-up to that, right, is if you're around a large group of people, like at the grocery store, for example, and you don't want to wear a mask. Let's say your argument is, I shouldn't have to wear a mask in the grocery store because it's my freedom to choose what to put on my body. I am my own person. The government cannot tell me what to put on my body. It's my freedom. I understand that. Now, when you're in a communal space around a lot of people, there could be vulnerable people around you because they have to go to the grocery store. Per my example earlier, maybe some people that are in the vulnerable group, older people, people with asthma, diabetes, maybe they don't have the resources to order food deliveries, grocery deliveries. Maybe they don't have somebody that could drop food off. There's a very specific example I'm using here. So you should be required to wear a mask in a communal group of people because you don't know who in there is vulnerable. And then you say, well, those people should stay out of the grocery store if you're vulnerable. Yeah, but the grocery store is an example of a place where you have to go to live. You need food. And that's why the government is fucking up right now, because they're giving us curfews instead of providing resources so that vulnerable people don't have to put themselves in danger as much. I don't know. Is that right? I feel like that's a decent example, but I'm not sure. But then it goes to like the park closures. Like when California closed its parks, that's what really woke me up. And I was like, dude, this is absolute fucking bullshit. This doesn't make any sense. We can't go outside in nature. And then I started looking into the vitamin D thing, and I was like, what? So it's obvious that vitamin D helps, and yet you're telling people to stay inside. That's illogical. Tell people to go outside, socially distance, get some sunlight. It's a crazy time, man. It's wild, dude. And then there was another study that said 80% of people are asymptomatic or have mild cases. Mild meaning cough or fever. And then severe cases meaning like you have an extreme fever. I forget what severe means. Let's just stick with asymptomatic and mild right now. 80% of people estimated to have no symptoms or mild symptoms. So, and that's 80% of people that test positive, not 80% of people in general. So if I test positive, I have an 80% chance of being asymptomatic or having a mild case. What I would like to know is the 20% that have more than a mild case. What are the demographics of those people? Because if I'm young and healthy, based on all the available data, I would assume that the chances that I have any severe effects are extremely low. And I would assume that 20% of people who have above mild symptoms are an overwhelmingly majority demographic of people over 65 and or with pre-existing conditions based on the data we already have. That's an assumption. And I'm not scared. It just makes me not scared. I just don't think people should be scared. I think you should also respect people, but stop being so fucking scared, man. It's like people are just like down to hibernate away as if this thing is gonna eat their brains. And like I saw this kid with his mom on the beach the other day, and they were completely by themselves, no one around them, and they were both wearing a mask, and it like freaked me out, dude. It freaked me out because a kid who is told to stay away from people and wear a mask when you're staying away from people, I don't know what the psychological effects like that of that are going to be in the future, but I would assume with the way that so many people are just over exaggerating this pandemic, a lot of people are going to a lot of young people are going to grow up hypochondriacs, dude. I don't know. It's crazy. I'm sure I've ruined a lot of opportunities to work with people from speaking my mind about this, which is so insane, dude. It's like I have so little influence here. I'm a comedian, dude. I got no influence, bro. My audience isn't even big enough to have influence yet, I don't think. But it's funny. I just think sometimes, if somebody that I really look up to watched like this podcast episode, for example, and I would be curious if they would just turn it off after 5 minutes and toss me into the right-wing conspiracy nutjob group, which I've been tossed in multiple times. But those people are nice. They're very accepting people. But I'm not, man. I'm not even on a wing. So, the only out of right-wing conspiracy nut job, I would take the nut job. I am a nut job. Everything else is wrong. But it's just share opinions and share information, man. It's more dangerous than the flu for a very specific demographic of people, and it's slightly more dangerous than the flu for a vast majority of people. And all those numbers are available, and I don't find it productive or healthy to be so insanely scared and worried when we could be reallocating our energy, attention, and resources toward helping the small demographic of vulnerable people. So that's what I got to say on that. Did I hit my points? I got fact-checked, baby. I got fact-checked by myself. Brent Facts. Ha! I did a Brent goof. Ha! Okay. Oh, another reason. Dude, let me talk to you guys about something not COVID related for a minute. I did the dead people voting video, the dead people who voted with my buddy JP. Wow, did that one get misconstrued? The original inspiration for making that video was because people kept claiming that hundreds of thousands of dead people voted. And that just sounded funny. That put a picture in my mind of a corpse at a voting booth. And so I wrote the video based on that. And then after it came out, so many people were like, yeah, this is right. Dude, it's crazy. Thank you for sharing this truth. And I was like, no, it's not truth. There's no truth in the video. From what I've seen, there are many claims of ballots that have been turned in and counted with dead people's names on them. Enough to insinuate that they might swing the election for Trump if they get tossed out because they were all for Biden. Those claims have been proven false. That theory has been debunked. But it has not been proven false at the Supreme Court, which is where many Trump supporters are hoping that it goes. And I get that. So sure, fuck it. Let's wait for the Supreme Court to make a decision. Everything I've seen have shown that there are always ballots turned in with dead people's names on them because of clerical error, because of recent deaths, because of names that get lost in the system. And obviously, dude, every year there's fraud. There's some shadiness going on. It could be a ballot counter in Wyoming, like slipping a couple ballots into the trash. It could be like there's always probably more this year than any other year, I would have to guess, but not enough to swing it. from everything I've seen. So send it to the Supreme Court, dude, and let's see. Let's see, bro. Let's see. Like I care. Anyways, it was just funny for the dead people voting video to be taken that way by so many people. I think a majority of people understood that I was making fun of that theory, but a lot of people thought that it was for them. But, it's up for interpretation because at the end of the day, it's art. As silly as that sounds, shit is art. Yeah, man. Yeah, dude. I think. One more note on the on the COVID thing. I shot with a buddy recently, and he was wearing a mask while we were shooting. And I was like, "Hey, man, you don't have to wear a mask right now. Like, I'm cool with it. You can totally wear it though if you want. It's up to you." And he said, "Oh no, I have asthma, so I just wear it everywhere just in case." And I was like, "Whoa, are you sure you're cool to be doing this?" And he was like, "Yeah, I mean, dude, I just have asthma. I'm fine. I work out. Like, I'm healthy. It's more just a safety thing until I get the vaccine." And hey, bro, I respect that. And I think, unfortunately, a majority of people do not feel that way. Do not feel like you should be able to choose. Like a lot of people would say, "Oh, you have asthma? Stay home forever. Stay home until there's a vaccine. Stay home until half the population has gotten the vaccine." Hey, no. Let them make a decision, okay? Based on the information that's available. All right, last thing. This is going to take us home, dude. Some of you guys might have seen my comedy channel just hit 100,000 YouTube subscribers. That's pretty cool. That's a cool thing. That's something I've wanted forever. Really appreciate it. It's cool to see the numbers go up. It's a funny thing because I still feel like I'm 2 years behind where I want to be as far as audience reach and resources to make bigger projects. Like where I am now is where I would have liked to be 2 years ago based on what I was making then. But patience is a hell of a lesson, man. It's a hell of a lesson. And I am just like sincerely grateful that anyone would like the stuff that I make. Because I really only make it because I like it. And then I hope other people like it. I only make stuff that I laugh at. And I'm hoping that a lot of other people will laugh at that stuff too. And then we could all be friends. That's the goal. So if you subscribe to me over there on the comedy channel, thank you so much. It's youtube.com/Brent Pella. It'd be a little weird if you were only listening to this podcast and don't know that I make comedy videos too. But hey, who knows? So yeah, man, it's really cool to see the numbers go up. Patience is a bitch, but it's a hell of a thing to learn. So whatever you're doing right now, I outro message. I wish you patience with all this. 2020 is almost over. 2021 could get real weird. And I hope you have lots of patience and positivity moving out of the COVID mess and back into the light of the world, okay? So do the research, find the data, make your own decisions. If you want to stay home until there's a vaccine and you want to wear a mask literally everywhere you go and wear gloves in your car, do that. I respect that and do it. But don't support regulations that don't back the data. And you can be respectful at the same time. It's possible. It's possible to hold those thoughts in your brain at the same time. All right? Guys, hey, so much love from me to you. So much love from me to you. Okay? Go have a great week. Get some vitamin C in your system. Get some omegas, vitamin C and D, and I'll see you next week. Ha!